Hi, thank you for joining us here at Tax Talk UK, where we talk about all things tax and cover other important aspects that you need to be aware about if you are working for yourself and running a small business. So today I'm going to revisit the topic of sole trader or limited company. We have covered this before, but it is quite a complex and big topic for people. So just to revisit some new questions on that topic. Before I do that, if I could please ask you to take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you will easily be able to refer back to this information if you should need to, as well as being able to access easily other information that we have available on a whole wide range of topics, all catalogued in our playlist and all aimed at supporting you in your self-employment. So back then to sole trader or limited company, it's quite a big topic especially when you're sort of first starting. As we've explored in other videos, it is possible to change from one trading style to the other, but ultimately it is most efficient if you can choose the best trading style for you at the start, and move on, move forward with that. So what we should actually elaborate that question to is sole trader or limited company best for me as an individual? Because as with lots of things that we come across, there's not one answer fits all. Not even this whole group of people would be better in this scenario, this group in this scenario. What it is about is understanding fully the implications of both trading styles, and then being able to connect those back to your own individual situation, but also how your mind works, things that are important to you, for you to then be able to make the decision as to which trading style works best for you. And of course, as we've talked about before, if you become a limited company, you are creating a separate entity. So as a sole trader, you and the business are one and the same. Whatever the business owns, you own. Whatever the business owes to other people, you owe to other people. So if the business can't meet its liabilities, you have to then pay those personally. You will be liable for those. If you create a limited company, the company is an entity in its own right. And unless you've given a personal guarantee for any liability, such as a bank loan, for example, the bank may say, well, actually, we want you to give a personal guarantee. And of course, that supersedes then the limited liability, is an important point to mention. But without that personal guarantee, the company is liable for its liabilities. And if the company can't meet its liabilities, then you personally are not liable for them, unless you have acted dishonestly or in any fraudulent manner. But if you've acted properly, then you are separate from the liabilities. So to my mind, fundamentally, the limited liability should be the biggest issue for you to consider as to which is the right option for you to explore. So there's lots of other things that people think that they want to do one style or another because of this, that, or the other, but ultimately it should be the limited liability that you're considering is important to your business, that drives that motivation to go down the limited company route. So this will depend on your activities, what trade you're in, what industry you're in, and you know, what sort of risk there is in your business. You have to think about not only borrowing in terms of liabilities, borrowing and tax liabilities and so forth, but you have to think about you know, what risks are there, and what are you insured for? What could happen that you're not insured for that incurs a liability, and that you may want to protect yourself, protect your personal assets from the company liability in that way. So there's obviously there's other aspects. So the tax scenario will be different depending on whether you're a sole trader or a limited company. And I'm not going to go into that in detail. It's out of the scope of this specific video. We look at that in other videos. But of course, if you're a sole trader, you'll be submitting a personal tax return subject to personal tax, self-employed national insurance classes. If you are a limited company, then you will be the company will be subject to corporation tax, and then you will be subject to taxes as you draw money out of the company, either PAYE tax and national insurance, or dividend tax, depending on how you are remunerated for that. So with different tax scenarios at play, sometimes it may be that there's a tax advantage for one or the other, but do remember that taxes can change. The whole basis for the taxing system can change. For example, with the introduction some years ago of dividend tax, that completely changed the balance between the sort of tax efficiency of different routes. So it's not really a fundamental reason for choosing one trading style or the other, because those things can change. I always go back to saying that the liability protection should be the fundamental motivator. You've also got the scenario that because a company, you're creating a separate entity, so therefore there's more to manage. It's the accounts will be more complex because you're accounting for yourself as a shareholder, yourself as a director. You're having to produce accounts for the company to and a company tax return to HMRC, company accounts to Companies House. So you will find if you have somebody engaged to do these things for you, of course, because it's more complex and there's more to do, the cost will be more. So that can sort of outweigh other sort of financial incentives. Having said that, there may be times, depending on your industry, where your suppliers require you to be a limited company, that perhaps they don't engage the services of suppliers who are sole traders. So that may dictate to you the trading style that you need to take. So as I started out by saying, it's about understanding the concepts of both sole trader and limited company, to understand the implications of both, and then to be able to put that in context as which is best for you. And of course, if you're not sure and you need some guidance on it, then you will be able to find some professional help. I would sort of suggest maybe looking at professional bodies that they can quite often advise of their members in your area. If you are going to engage the services of somebody to help you, perhaps a bookkeeper or an accountant, then please do make sure that the person you're engaging is qualified to help you with what you've engaged them to do, that they are a member of a professional body, and that they do have liability insurance. So hopefully this gives you some food for thought into deciding whether you should trade as a sole trader or a limited company. If you've already set off on the path of one and you feel that it might be wrong, then or wrong for you, should I say, then it is possible to change from one to the other. But obviously the other aspect in changing is to just remember that you will be, whichever way you're going, you will be changing entities. So that will mean that you will need to re-register for all of your taxes, a new bank account, everything will need to change. And we do, if you are in that scenario where you're changing from one to the other, and we do explore that in other guidance videos. So thank you very much for watching, and as I say, please do take the time to like the video if you found it helpful, and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Goodbye.